Looks like you two on your cruise. I'm not. Oh, no, I didn't. Never saw him before. I don't think. Did I skip one? No. Words, thoughts, immediate, and looking at that, just looking at that. She can't keep her voice to her. Face and voice. Oh my God. It's going to be one of the, wow, this is a rough group tonight, I'll tell you. Whoa. There we go. No, it shouldn't be.
I didn't write anything.
You're only getting about, just say about 10 seconds per.
30 seconds.
It's called the first thing that comes to your mind, not I'm going to process it.
Do you want to know how much I wrote?
Yes, I do know. You know how much you're not going to? All right. And we're turning.
Turn it.
I wish Rob was filming this way. Watching beautiful expressions that happen. Yeah, there's quite a bit. They got it.
Oh,
It's still, you can still. We're going back anyway, so. That was one I said, look like Sue.
Okay, you got your own life, right? The only person that came to you while you were.
So just
things that you thought.
I thought I looked good.
Over the top.
Okay, good. Oh, okay, good. That's what we're looking for.
That's what we're looking for.
That's what we're looking for.
I have no desire for that.
Okay.
What we're talking about.
This is what we're talking about. Hello. You what?
Yeah.
I want it.
Yeah.
Can you have it?
I'd look good in it.
There we go.
There we go.
Can you have it?
Yeah, absolutely.
But you see, this is what.
But you see, this is, do you hear what's going on here? This is the great part of it. Don't want it over the top. Even the over the top has some, a belief behind it.
So there's up
Right? So there's up who would want a car like that.
Now the house? Now the
Okay, so let's talk house, okay? Anyone?
No?
Yes.
No?
No, way too big for me. Easy. Yes, for somebody to keep it.
On the outside looking in, and I deserve this.
Did you have any feelings with that?
I thought it would be fun to
Oh, yeah.
You're in a different time of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rita.
Fine, just for me. These are the ones that are real.
These are the ones that are real, because this establishes
Time
belief.
just for me. That's
Time
what
just
that
for me.
means.
That's
Time
what
just
that
for me.
means. Time
Anyone
just
else?
for me. Anyone else?
Here's the one that takes it away. Is that one?
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'd be dancing.
Yeah, I'd be dancing
I'd have
with
to
you
look
a little bit on that
I'd
one
have
as
to
well.
look with that now.
Is that boring?
So you're incorporating.
So
I
you're
see.
incorporating, I see.
Anyone else?
Anyone
Just a
else?
feeling?
Just
Yeah.
a feeling?
Yeah, this is exactly why
Yeah,
we
this is
came
exactly
up
why
with
we
this
came
particular
up
one,
with this
because we thought
particular one, because
that
we thought
just shows us, and a lot what
just
Diane
shows
was
us, and
talking
a lot
about
what Diane
too,
was talking
is that
about
there's
too,
also a
is that
consciousness
there's also a
that we've been
consciousness
programmed
that we've
with
been
that teaches
programmed with,
us
that teaches
how to
us
believe
how
about
to
these
believe
things
about
as
these
well.
things as
They
well.
may not even, there may
They
be a
may not
belief
even,
that
there
I
may
have
be a
that isn't
belief
even
that I have
mine,
that isn't even mine,
about some of this stuff. Okay,
about some of this stuff. Okay, good.
Yes?
Yes?
I said, no, I don't want to grab it. To me, it looks like that person's trying to grab and hold on when it's really, it's all around me, I don't need to.
See? Perfect,
See?
perfect.
Perfect,
I
perfect.
perceive it as
Yeah,
casual.
see?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. Anyone else?
Fine. Yeah, I told you
Fine.
that.
Yeah, I told you
that's,
that. That's exciting.
It looks like fun.
It looks like fun.
Yeah. And I didn't even notice it was all.
I didn't even notice it was all
too. I
like
was
that.
just- oh. Okay. Anyone else?
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yes, my mother spoke up immediately and said, why are you throwing your
Oh!
money away, not accepting?
We got some people nodding in the back, nodding in the back. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, no matter what
I'm gonna tell
belief.
you, no
It
matter
wasn't
what
about
belief.
receiving at all, it was about.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Oh, is that
Wow.
interesting?
No matter where we go, mom
No
and
matter
dad,
where we
they
go,
will come
Mom
in
and
these
Dad, they will
things.
come in these
Yeah.
things.
It's her
Oh, happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Okay,
Okay.
well, we already know one
We already know
right in the back.
One right in the
You
back.
know, they didn't seem, it seems fake. That
Okay.
picture seems fake to me,
Okay.
like it was
Okay.
posed.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I doubt if not,
I doubt
then the
if-
creep
if
that was
not,
taking
then
the
creep
picture.
that was taking the picture.
Look at what they're doing over
Look at
there.
what they're doing.
Yeah,
over there.
exactly. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
what else?
Okay,
Feelings?
what else? Feelings.
We took all four, as
We
you can
took all
probably tell,
four, as
the
you can probably tell,
relationships,
the
money,
relationships, money,
finances.
finances.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, little, that's
yeah,
honest.
That's
Yeah, yeah,
honest. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Hmm. Anyone else?
Anyone else?
Okay.
Okay.
See, yeah,
See-
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
That felt very peaceful.
Content.
Puritan.
Yeah.
Content. Yeah.
Diane?
Diane?
Basically, happy throughout life
Yeah.
together, you know, it
Yeah.
is what it.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyone else? Yes.
This is so exciting, 60 years of being together, but 60 years from now.
Ah.
Ah.
Any, oh,
And, oh,
I thought it's such a sweet picture. It looks, they look like they're old enough to have chosen again.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inclusivity of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
okay, it's not either or, it's not a new truck or Ferrari, or, it's just inclusive of all
Yeah.
kinds of.
The first thing that came to my mind was diversity. I went, how blessed we are that we can have all of this stuff, right?
All of this stuff, right?
I was wondering.
Wow. Isn't this the perfect example of light and the glasses that Sue was talking about that we put on and what we see and what we don't see and yeah. Mm.
This brought up possibilities. Oh, definitely possibilities.
So cute.
Courage,
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 courage.
courage.
I had two things that
I
actually
had
happened
two
with
things
that.
that actually happened with
I told
that.
Rita, I said,
I
oh my
told
God,
Rita, I
such
said,
courage,
"Oh my
such
God,
love,
such
and I
courage,
also
such love,"
had
and I
fear
also had fear.
because of our current way
Because
of,
of our
I went
current
into
way
the
of-
world of
I went
form,
into the
and I
world
went,
of form,
oh, little
and I went,
fears in there.
"Oh,
I
little
saw
fears in
fear,
there.
like,
I saw
are they going to be
fear, like,
okay?
are
Very
they gonna be okay?
protective
Very
of
protective
this. It's very
of
interesting.
this. It's very interesting.
Yes?
Yes?
the first thing I thought of was, why do people run? Now, I know you both run, so that's, but it has never appealed to me, so that doesn't picture, they look healthy to me, but that's not something that I.
Right.
I thought fun. I thought fun. I would relate. But then I was relating it to what I do. I walk up to them. They're actually
Right.
on a path.
Right.
Well, that's what we do. We
Well, that's what we
interpret
do. We
life
interpret
through our
life
our
through
experiences.
Our experiences.
Right? I mean,
Right? I
most
mean,
of the time.
most
Anyone
of the
else?
time. Anyone
Yes?
else? Yes?
So I took it
Right.
beyond running,
Right.
I just took it into
Mm-hmm.
exercise.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I heard that in my.
Yeah.
And then I thought.
And mine was, why
Mine
does
was,
everyone, my
why
judgment,
does
why does
everyone-
everybody have to
my
touch it
judgment, why does
all? What's it? I mean, just pick up the thing and
Just
go.
pick up
What's
the thing
the?
and go. What's
You're not. Don't pretend you know what you're
Don't pretend you
doing.
know what you're doing.
I was just gonna say,
Oh.
I felt gratitude for.
Ah, that's great.
That's great.
Abundance, gratitude.
Abundance, gratitude.
Yes.
Yes.
I thought
That woman's face is not reading a positive outcome.
Well, I saw it as him finding out he's
Mm-hmm.
healed.
But what's great
That was
is
great.
this is where I
Is
looked
this
as
is where
well.
I looked as
Until
well.
Sue said that,
Until
and
Sue
then if
said
I had
that,
only
and
went
if I
into
had
her,
only went
that
into
would go,
her,
oh my
that would
God,
go,
what's he
"Oh my
gonna,
God,
what's he telling them?
What's he telling
Right? So
Right?
this is a great
So
example.
this
We
is a
have
great example. We
three
have
faces,
three
three
faces,
experiences.
three
Where do we
experiences.
go? Where do we go when we
Where
look
do
at
we go
something?
when we look at
Yes?
something?
Anyone else?
Yes?
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I saw
Mm-hmm.
compassion. That's what I, you know, that maybe he had really good news for this man. I don't know the story, but it just felt like he was with passionate.
I thought two friends had done it, realizing that.
Right?
Right?
Because this
Because
is, they're trying to say,
This is
what makes him a
This is
doctor.
what makes him a doctor.
It's a stethoscope.
It's a
And she's probably
stethoscope.
going,
And she's
to
probably
think,
going,
all this
to
time I
think,
wanted to be
all
an
this time I
actress,
wanted
and
to
here
be
I
an
am, just
actress,
a
and here I
lab
am, just a
assistant.
lab assistant.
Doing a commercial, yeah.
Doing a commercial.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh,
It looks like strength to me.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I thought
Yeah,
too.
that's what I thought too. Mhm.
Her stocks
Oh yeah, this was the
Oh
laughing
yeah, this
one.
was the laughing one.
The laughing one, just like, what I was laughing at is I was relating it to the woman being me in my younger career, and I'm so not that, so not that.
You're done with that.
Wow. Anything else come up?
Anything else come up?
Collaboration.
Collaboration.
Yeah, yeah.
They're all focused on one thing and they're all happy about it, so that collaboration can be really fun.
Wow. Did you have something? My team. Yeah. I'm not alone. I'm not alone, right? We're working as a team. Or can you believe he did that again? No, I scared. Why do you want that? Yeah. And look at, and you're beaming when you say that. See, there's also feelings that go with it. And she's beaming. Beaming.
That is really powerful.
Stick with us.
Yeah.
Because it obviously is.
Yes. Do you see why it's really feeling first in any of our building our consciousness, building our mental equivalent? Without that beaming, that feeling, that thing energizing us, it's very hard to go. We ask why it doesn't happen. Well, you had a passion, Sue. You guys had a passion to come here. Whatever it is, there's something that's behind that glows, and the frequency is so high it moves us forward. Yeah. And you see, and that for me would be my art thing, would be like, I'm so glad it's not me trying to create that. You know what I mean? So different experience. Go ahead.
I looked at it not from the artist's perspective, although maybe it is, but she's looking at and asking, what do I see? What am I seeing? And then trying to interpret that.
Good metaphor for life, yeah. I mean, what do I see? What do I want to paint? How am I going to paint it? I'm glad I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself in LA going, what's my next job going to be?
At first I thought, she's like, I'm a barista.
Right.
And then I thought, I make the best damn coffee, It just turned around that she's doing her best to make.
Like a scientist almost. Anyone else? Anything come up? Any feelings?
I'm really grateful that people can make awesome coffee.
Yes, exactly.
First I looked at the hair and then I thought, nice.
That is so wonderful.
It looks to me like the stylist is saying,
Yes,
what do you
I
want?
saw that.
Yes, I saw that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That creative process that we have, right? It's like, oh, how do I really want this? You know? Wow. Who would think that we were staring at all then? All these people, energetically, we've been analyzing them all.
Right, and analyzing our feelings about it. That's
Yeah,
what
the
this has been
feelings
about.
to me, I mean, to use you, Sharon, is the greatest example, because when she said that, and from where I'm sitting, there was like the entire room lit, and I'm just like going, wow, that's the power we're all looking for, that where are we lit, where are we moving, and that is that power of spirit that will move anything. Yeah. Why do we demonstrate? What do we demonstrate?
So we demonstrate what we habitually have in our mind, basically.
That was why we did this.
Things that we think, the judgments that we have, the way we, the way we look at things, the way we change what we look at, how we look at things. That's what we're demonstrating. We're demonstrating what we're habitually thinking in our minds. And what emotion is behind it. That's the biggest thing, the emotion. That's why in all these meditations I've been doing lately, it's about bringing yourself to the emotion. That's why visualization is so powerful. Building vision boards, those kind of things to build the emotion of the of whatever it is that you want to demonstrate. So, any ahas about looking at those pictures, like what sort of mind you might have, like did you learn anything about yourself? Yes.
That I can be grateful about demonstration. I like Deb's example of what comes up, digging it up. But I realize demonstration is really like a mirror of your beliefs. So that makes me grateful. Like, it's not so mysterious.
That's what.
I'm saying it brings back that how we started tonight with that responsibility thing. That's a great thing. That's like a gift. Like, oh my God, my feelings and all of this help me to out picture in my world, and that's a gift. And to think of the kind of power we have to be able to do that. How wonderful. Anyone else?
So, I related all these pictures to myself. So I was not looking so much at the person in there, but how it relates to my own life. And I thought, oh, that's really selfish. And then I thought, no, this is my time. This is my time. I'm working all day and I'm serving others, but this is my time to look at it through my eyes. So that was the first thing.
That's great.
The other is just how optimistic I am, grateful I am, and excited about the future. Like I really truly feel like I'm just beginning my life, which really blows my mind that's how I hold it, but that's how I hold it.
And we actually, before we started that, we were saying, well, we got to make sure that they come from themselves and the feelings of this. A question I want to throw out, whoever wants to catch it, is did you find any judgment in these pictures? I mean, not from, is that, judgment like, oh my God, I believe that about that, or, we talked a little bit about, I don't remember what picture, but.
Car, over the top car.
I did see that. I was a little surprised, at the shallowness of some of the things that I came up with, because there's one way that I think, and then there are these other things which I mentioned earlier. It's like counterfacts that deny. And so, there's something about rooting it out and then just letting it go without disliking it, just realizing that it's okay. It's just our humanity that's growing.
Right.
That's right.
And that's the things that keep these things away from us, right?
Right, and it's not about blaming. So we're going to go back and that. It's not about him going, oh my God, I was judging that. No, it's like, and I loved your honesty. I was kind of surprised I had that kind of judgment about certain things, like houses or stuff like that. Like that house is a perfect size for someone like me for some reason, and I'm going, I'd love to have guests, but I don't want to start a hotel. I don't want everybody over there. I don't want everybody in there. That's what I want to run around all the rooms. You know what I mean? So whatever's happening inside of Patrick, I saw that. Okay.
I found some judgment in the picture of the black and white of the young lovers there. But actually, that happened second, because first it was like, it's just young love. And I realized that's not as much judgment, but I secondly put judgment on it, like, oh, I'm judging this young love somehow. But then the next picture was mature love, and it just helped me understand, like, but it just is. It's just young and it's just older, and it's okay.
Oh, that's great. That's the beauty of what we're finding out. It's okay.
And
this is all okay. Whatever came up, it's all okay. Right?
Right. And it's the way that it's not necessarily those items, but the things that they bring up in our minds are the things we have to look at, because we could be keeping something else away from ourselves because we, like you said, because we have those thoughts about it.
Yeah, well, with money is the biggest. That's the one that Rita and I were like wanting to. We're going to take that picture. I said, I think that picture says so much without any people in it, just hands, and just that whole thing of money. And I'm thinking that is one of the biggest things we all have to sometimes work through, is this idea, especially the one where we're at spirituality and matter. And spirituality and money. And when you're spiritual, you don't need money. You don't need money if you're spiritual. And I'm thinking, oh, that's a message that I don't want to go to bed with that, you know?
Yeah, and unlike as actors, we had, well, you're enjoying what you're doing, so why should you make any money doing it?
We
We're
would
not
do,
supposed to. I mean, that is the race consciousness surrounding acting.
just on that,
know.
that note, to give example,
Right.
Rita was in Camelot, and she played Guinevere. This was before I met her, in this huge, I went to the theater. How many did it hold?
1,400.
So 1,400. So I went there as an acting instructor. I said, "Oh my God, this is great! I'll even audition for this play." Oh, this. And then they said, "I go, how much do they pay? Is it equity scale? Is it? Oh, they don't pay. The actors." And
Pay
I
everybody
remember
else.
thinking, and they said, but they paid all of the musicians and everybody, but they didn't pay the actors. And so it showed me the consciousness that was behind there. And when I went in as, kind of rebel without a cause in New Mexico, I said, that's unacceptable that this talent are being, they were like, get that guy out of town. He comes from LA, that's the only reason he's acting like that. So interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is another quote by
I guess we're just
Emmett
going to
Fox.
zoom that way, unless you guys want to go to the bathroom right now. If you do, let.
Do you need to go? No.
Okay, that way we can.
We'll be all right.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go back to your word, the mental world.
The mental world.
Yeah. Matter is spirit moving slowly enough to be seen.
Yeah, remember we said that at the beginning? I love
Love
that.
that. And that's what they're finding out now with quantum physics and all of that. As soon as we see the truth and see it spiritually, the appearances change, because this is a mental world. Now, most people do not know this. They think it's a material world, and this is why humanity has problems.
Agree, disagree, or both?
Because we're going out, and this is what's happening, ever since 2008, whenever the big crash thing happened that everybody talks about, was when all the finances fell apart and all that happened. I believe that was the beginning of something really amazing happening, and we're just now beginning to move into this new way of being, to realize that things are spirit first.
And we were talking about it in a meeting that I think we had, Deb, about all the models that we used to put up, the models to build a center, the models to do, the models for school. Everything's crashing, not in a negative way, but it's crashing because we're trying to use old models that don't work anymore. Because we're being asked to evolve spiritually and then move into these same places, these same schools, these same centers, but with a whole entirely different model. And guess what? We don't know what the model is. We don't know what it necessarily is. Rita and I've said it before. We had an entrepreneur gentleman that worked with us, and he said, I don't know what their model is. I only work with models. There's a model for success, and this is you go doom, 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 and then you sometimes fall over here, but then you go back to your model. And he said, I could not tell you what their model is to build this. And I said, well, that's good news, because we couldn't tell you either, because the model is new. Go ahead.
So they're in the mental equivalent chapter. Diane can't answer this question because she already knows the answer. There's a part, and I changed the prices because I thought the prices were a little. Ernest Holmes tells a story about 4 people that went to a practitioner because they had lost their jobs, and one of them was making $200 a week, and the other was making $350 a week, and the other one was making $500 a week, and the other one was making $1,000 a week, and they all lose their jobs. And they go to a practitioner for treatment for employment, and now they get jobs. How much do you think each person made? The same.
Why?
Right. Exactly.
And I added another one when Rita and I were looking through this today. I said, this one might even have made, he might have made less, or she might have made less. And I'm thinking, why? Because when you're unemployed, you're scared. So where you're making 1,000, somebody might offer you 750. And you just might take it because now your mental equivalent has went down based upon your belief of that. Another person could go and say, well, this is a perfect opportunity for me to make more because I've been tired of making 500 anyway. I'm going to up it. This is an opportunity. So yes, I mean, you're absolutely right. The answer to it in Ernest Holmes in the chapter, everybody made the same amount because that's what they were used to. But we can even take it more to say that it can be changed. Yes.
I guess.
Any thoughts? Any things about that? Yes.
It just reminds me of when I was in the corporate world a million years ago. I had put my ideal amount of money that I would make. And I made that, and I had forgotten that I had said that amount of money, and I couldn't go over that amount of money until I figured out, oh my God, that's the amount I said that I could make, and it was to the penny. It was to the absolute penny. So as soon as I saw that, I released that ceiling because it was, yeah.
And sometimes we don't even know we had a ceiling. I remember a job that you took. And
That was an interesting.
That was
This is an
interesting.
interesting story. Because I always felt, I can make $15 an hour. That was my thing when I was in Los Angeles. And I went for a job interview, and the lady. I know. I still haven't really figured that out. Maybe you can figure it out for me, mental equivalent wise. I went for an interview for a job. It was kind of out of my field. I was assistant general manager for a cable company. And I was like,
and we
I
both
have to get a
applied
job.
for it. She got
Okay,
it.
and I got it. But I asked for a search. She said, how much is your range? And I told her. And then she ended up paying me like, well, how much more? I was like, I know it was a lot. It was like $5,000 a year more. She said, well, I think you're worth more than that. And I ended up making more. So I don't know, maybe unconsciously somehow I felt like I was worth more.
Well, because what happened was we were in entertainment, so when you go into that business, they want to know numbers and they want to know everything. So we were looking it up, like what else for a cable company? I didn't even know what a cable company. And so we were trying to go in with that idea. So when she asked that, what I believe happened was that Rita did actually believe that she was worth much more than probably the lowest thing that you went in with, and she just had to have matched that, or she probably thought, you got to be kidding, girl. And it was also and they became friends, a woman-to-woman thing too. There was like, girlfriend, we ain't going back down to that level. We're going up to where we belong. And she knew she probably had the budget for it. Anyway, isn't that interesting though that they paid her more than she had asked? So good.
So we can only receive, Ernest Holmes, what we can take, and the taking is mental. So
what does that mean to you? We can only take, we can only receive what we can take, and the taking is mental. Even if we get rid of this part, we can only receive what we can take. Right, or the what? Belief, or the mental equivalent, or, it's all belief. Because what can we take? Any thoughts? Yeah.
do you believe it? Do you believe that whatever you can conceive and believe it, you can achieve? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
guys.
that job would have been, she can only receive it. If you go in like the one we just used with the different amounts each week, that's all that they could take. Because that's all they knew. And that's what, with anything, relationships, we wonder how we're in abusive relationships. Not we're, but people are, and they go, how does that happen? Because that is where they happen to be at that moment of deserving, that moment of taking in a relationship that what they think they deserve. And that's when you're trying to get through abusiveness of any kind, you work where? On the belief of the person that is being abused, so that they can understand that they don't have to be abused. Very powerful, changing their mental equivalent. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Good old Napoleon and a million other people have said it exactly the same thing.
So the question is, and this is the third part of this whole thing. So we're in a position and we want to make the changes. Diane wants to live more than comfortably, right? You want this guy in your life that's a badass. What?
To match your badass.
Right?
Yeah.
What? You may want to live in Kauai. I don't know. You may want a new job. I don't know. But how are we going to do it? So it's about changing our vibration. Okay? So Ernest Holmes says we erase thought from consciousness by pouring in an opposite thought. This is what we talked about before. This is called neutralization. So in order to change our vibration, we have to start thinking of the things that we want. Emmett Fox says that in the book over and over again. We got to stop thinking about the things we don't want and start thinking about the things we do want. And then we have to get really disciplined about it. If we're walking around, and I mean, I did it today a couple of times, getting into a negative state of mind about something instead of thinking about what I don't want instead of what I do want. I can feel it. I can feel my vibration rate just go, right? So this is where the discipline comes in. And I paraphrase Joe Dispenza, but with him, it's the living with a vision of the future and letting go of our memories of the past and rewiring our brains. Because most of the time when we're thinking, and I talked about this on Sunday, we're thinking out of a program of our past memory. We're thinking about that program that says, oh, I'm only worth this much money because blah, 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 and that's what always shows up for me, and we keep reliving that. And we have to let go of that and live about what we want, how we want to live. It seems like really simple to me, but it's not so simple because it takes a lot of discipline to rewire yourself.
And to reframe, it's like, let's go to this word, because Diane had mentioned it earlier, when we talk about the future, you can't really go to the future, and I think the vision of the future is in the now. I think that's really what he's saying, even when I'm listening to him myself, is that the vision of the future, and it's so true, because if you really sit down with somebody, I know in sessions I'll do it, I'll say, so what do you really want? And they'll say, well, I'll tell you one thing, I don't want to keep, being blah, 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 and I'm just tired of da, 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 and I don't care. I said, no, but I asked you, what do you want? Oh. Do you see that? Do you see the moment there that you have to go, oh, because you can, we can talk a lot about what we already know. We already know what didn't work, what did work at times, and so when you ask somebody, I was just in a meeting with somebody and I was assisting her about, I said, because when we get on the phone, we have a lot of repeated, I don't want this anymore, I don't want this anymore. And I said, well, what do you want? I said, why? I said, I'm going to spend about 10 minutes with you, 15, and we're going to start designing the life you do want. Not the life you think you can have, not the life that seems to be presenting itself to you right now. What do you want? And we're going to take everything off. And I could tell that there was a tenseness in the conversation on the phone, because it was so much more comfortable to tell me what she did not want. And she was going out of her comfort zone. And we're close enough that I can say, are you out of your comfort zone right now? Extremely, but let's keep going. So yeah, interesting. Vibration.
So I was just thinking about how it works, because you think, and as you think, you create the emotion, and then the emotion makes you think. It's like a spiral you go into. I was on the path the other day, and I started thinking. I was working on staying in the present moment, and I found myself catapulting back to things that I didn't really want to think about. I wanted to stay in the present moment. And I said, well, what's the emotion behind these things? And they were all related to worry. And so we get addicted to the emotion that we create. And that's what we go back to, is the emotion. And so it creates the thought that creates the emotion, that creates the thought that creates the emotion, until we have to create a new emotion. And I think that's what he does in his meditations, Dr. Dispenza, is and I think Mike Dooley does the same thing. That idea of creating the emotion, we talk about in treatment, creating the feeling of what the thing is, because it's the feeling that brings something, the lit up feeling that you had about painting. That's what brings it into manifestation. So we get addicted to emotions.
And to stop
and we crave them.
I call it the act as if principle. There is no way to do anything from losing weight to getting a new job, anything, if we are stuck in looking at it the way it is right now in this moment. So when I say act as if, they say, well, isn't that lying? I was like, well, no, actually it's not, because it's the truth of who you are. But right now, there's like if you want to feel prosperous, you want to feel wealthy, you don't start by talking about, I might have to go bankrupt, I might have to do this, because once you start creating, and it takes really the discipline of actually, what does it feel like to be okay? What does it feel like to feel good? What does it feel like to be in a relationship? What does it feel like to be able to go to first class? How does it feel? How does it feel to do the painting and you start to light up? And you notice my shoulders even seem, I feel taller. But when I am in my stuff, I saw myself the other day and I went, oh my God, you're doing the bend over thing. Because I was thinking, what? And then I went, oh no. No, physiology, okay.
Any thoughts on this?
Yes. Just an aha about you can get addicted to an emotion. This is my big aha. I am addicted to the emotion disappointment. Because that's what I grew up with. Every time I had an expectation, regarding my family of origin, there was always disappointment. And so I was used to it. And I'm addicted to it. And it is like mind-blowing.
So you get excited.
And now I don't have to be.
Right.
So you get excited. I come from the South. You get excited.
He's going to call again. He's looking. This is third time, and then all of a sudden,
Thinking
you start
thoughts.
going. Yeah, but every time this happens, or I was raised with, but don't get too excited, because when that other shoe drops, woo.
So then you start
So
thinking
then I
the
start going,
thoughts.
well, it's not that important, and who cares if he really calls anyway? I don't know. And then do you see your backpedaling? So wow, that is an aha.
This was an aha for me too, a really big one.
It was the same for me. I was going to say the exact same thing. How to rewire not just the thought, but also the feeling of it. It's like a foundational thought that the universe is wired for my good.
Right.
How do I get into that one instead of the one, whenever I was happy, my happiness was taken away, stolen from me, by what I experienced. So how to rewire that expectation and know that I'm creating what I want. It's like bringing yourself up.
It's practice. It's practice.
Yeah.
Practice. How you change your mind and keep it changed. This is Ernest. I know for me, changing my mind is easy, and yet keeping it changed takes discipline.
That's the big one.
That's the thing. I must make the decision to change and then live it moment to moment in order to build a mental equivalent for my highest good.
That's the deal. So get back, you're driving down the street and you're feeling really good about this, and then that thing comes in. Don't get too excited, because you might get disappointed. That comes in, you go, I used to believe that. Now back to that perfect relationship that I know I'm having. I'm enveloping it. I'm at the frequency of the divine, but you have to really work it, because you can slip back into that mode, and then that road takes you right off. Because why? They said, well, why is it taking so long? Because you've been carrying it for 30 years or 20 years. I mean, this has been a long time. If you're still a little boy going, you're going to get disappointed. It might take more than maybe a few affirmations to get you to where you're going for your mental equivalent.
So we're going to give you these. These are some of the exercises that or little meditations and stuff that we found you want to pass that
kind
on?
of some tools to.
So this one from Ernest Holmes is to sit and realize that you are a center of divine attraction. So this is like things that you could take into your meditation, that all things are coming to you and that the power within is going out and drawing back all that you will ever need. Don't argue about it, just do it. And when you finish, leave it all to the law, knowing that it will be done. In other words, well, that's what we do in spiritual mind treatment. And you can learn more about that if you want to talk to Reverend Diane or Patrick or myself. But we are basically saying that you're realizing what it is that you want, and you're trusting and knowing and having faith that all those things are coming to you. Then you're leaving it to the law. You're releasing it to let it happen. So declare that all life, all love, and power are now in your life. Declare that you are now in the midst of plenty. Stick to it, even though you may not as yet see the results. It will work, and those who believe the most always get the most. This is the law. Think of the law as your friend. I love this. Always looking out for your interest. Trust completely in it, and it will bring you your good, or bring your good to you. So Deb, that was a sign of, that guy was a sign of land. That was a law working for you. And then you realizing, no, this is not enough. He's not bad enough. But it's beginning to show up because it has to. It has to come to you. So yeah. And then this one was by Emmett.
This one, you take one problem that you want to change, and that's what you came up with tonight, or did not, but you will. Do not tell anyone you are doing this. You are affirming the problem. The reason we always go back to not telling someone, it's not that you can't discuss it with somebody, but you know what happens when you start, as Brene Brown says, you start taking a poll. You whenever, you go, I got a really good idea. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I'm going to poll everybody till you say what I really want to do to begin with.
I know,
exactly.
Right? I know. You'll never afford to live there.
And I remember telling. I remember asking my mom, I'm going to move to New York. I know I just moved to LA, but I'm going to move to New York. And she said, maybe you don't want to keep moving. Maybe you want to stay in one place. Maybe get it all. I go, see, this is why I don't talk to you, Mom. And she goes, well, you're the one that asked me for my advice. She said, I got some really good advice for you. In the future, you just go and do it, and then tell us about it after you've already done it. After you've moved, then you go, guess what I'm going to do? I just moved to New York. When you ask the poll, get the poll, woo. And then change your mind. You are affirming the problem. Change your mind concerning your problem. Keep it changed for a month. You will get results. Do not keep looking for the demonstration that affirms the problem. To prove you believe it, act the part. You are breaking a habit to do, so do not be discouraged. Do not have conversations about the negative thing. And that's 101. Because what would it serve, right?
Right. So do it for a month.
These are the tools. A month. Go ahead.
And then this one I picked up on a video that I listened to, but this was I mentioned it on Sunday, the 4 things that people had in common that had spontaneous healings. First of all, they believed and this could be, doesn't have to do with disease, this could be with anything. They believed in an intelligence greater than they were that ran their bodies, so ran their lives. There's a greater intelligence that's running the show. I'm not doing it by myself, whoever said that. They believed that their thinking contributed to their disease or whatever the issue was. In order to break the way they thought, they had to reinvent themselves. That's what we're doing. We're reinventing ourselves. We're letting go of those emotions that don't serve us and creating new ones. In order to reinvent themselves, they spent long moments losing time and space in visualization and meditation. So, there's no way around it. It takes work. I'm sorry, guys. It takes work.
But reinvent, I just got a little, to make sure, just coming up. Reinvent doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me, that I have to create a whole new, go to the lab and create a whole new Patrick. What that tells me is that whatever it is that I want to attract in my life and to experience in my life, I need to reinvent my consciousness in order to receive that. And I think it's really hard because some people, when you say reinvent, and first thing that a lot of people think is, well, what's wrong with me fully? I mean, I don't want to reinvent the entire, there's lots of stuff I like about me. That is, it's not about like or dislike, it's about where are you going to reinvent that mind of yours that will help you to create.
Well, kind of like when I said I'm not going to sleep on the floor anymore. I'm
That's
not
a
the poor
reinvention.
stepsister or the whatever, the poor stepchild or whatever. I'm going to live more a first-class life. So that was like reinventing myself. So just that, saying that I deserve more than that. I deserve to get a hotel or whatever. Anyway, so reinvent. Yeah, it gets me excited. So this is what old Albert says. And I mean, you know, guys, I love this quote. Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. And this is not philosophy. This is physics. I love that.
And that's why that affirmation that I say that I am what I'm vibrating at the frequency of the divine is so important to me when I go off of that, so I can get back into that frequency of that. Now, he also reminds me of the picture of the hairstylist that they were working a little something on that.
What a beautiful mystic. They say that there's a show on Netflix right now about him. I haven't seen it. Has anybody seen it? Yeah, they say it's really, really good. Anyway, but yeah, I love that. This is not philosophy. This is physics. Whoops. I did it again.
It's okay.
No, wait a minute.
Anyway, that's the last one.
No, I need to go back. Hold on.
So anyway, let's go around real quick. What's one feeling you're having right now in this moment? One word. It can be huge excitement. Affirmation. Hope. Encouragement. Reinventing. Yeah.
Okay, guys. So I'm going to read that story.
So what I'm going to do is I thought it'd be a nice way to read you the 50 pages of this book before you go. No. What I'd like to do is read a little story to you, and I want you to get comfortable, and then read a little bit out that I wanted to read the end of this wonderful book I found the story. Wonderful. So get comfortable, close your eyes even if you feel like it. It's just a time to just take in this evening and no matter what to think, what we think of Emmett Fox in its totality, I know that this is a wonderful, wonderful spiritual being who gave us lots of stuff to play with tonight. And so, here we go. There is an old legend of the Middle Ages that is very instructive. A citizen was arrested by one of the barons and shut up in a dungeon in his castle. The citizen was taken downstairs, down, by a ferocious-looking jailer who carried a great key a foot long. The door of the cell was opened, and the citizen was thrust into a dark hole. The door shut with a bang, and there he was. He lay in the dark dungeon for 20 years. Every day the jailer came, opened the big door with a great creaking and groaning, thrust a pitcher of water and a loaf of bread in, and closed the door again. After 20 years, the prisoner decided he could not stand it any longer. He wanted to die, but he did not want to commit suicide, so he decided that when the jailer came the next day, he would attack him. The jailer would then kill him in self-defense, and thus his misery would end. He decided to examine the door carefully so as to be ready for the following day. Going over, he caught the handle and turned it. To his amazement, the door opened. Upon investigation, he found that there was no lock on it, and there never had been. For 20 years, he had not been locked in except by belief. At any time in the period, he could have opened the door if he had only known it was not locked. He groped along the corridor and felt his way upstairs. At the top of the stairs, two soldiers were chatting, and they made no attempt to stop him. He crossed the great yard without attracting anyone. There were armed guards at the drawbridge of the gate, but they paid no attention to him, and he walked out a free man. He went home unmolested and lived happily ever after. He could have done this at any time through those long years if he had known enough, but he did not. He was a captive, not of stone and iron, but of false belief. He was not locked in. He only thought he was. Of course, this is only a legend, but it is an extremely instructive one. We are all living in some kind of prison. Some of us in one kind, some in another. Some in a prison of lack, some in a prison of remorse and resentment, some in a prison of blind, unintelligent fears, some in a prison of sickness. But always the prison is in our own thought and not in the nature of things. There is no truth in our seeming troubles. There is no reality in lack. There is no power in time or conditions to make us old or tired or sick. The Jesus Christ teaching and the Unity movement in particular come to us and say, you are not locked in a prison of circumstances. You are not chained in a dungeon. In the name of God, turn the handle, walk out, and be free. Build a mental equivalent of freedom, of vibrant physical health, of true prosperity, of increasing understanding and achievement for God and as God. Build it by thinking of it, having faith in it, and acting the part. And the old limitation equivalent gradually will fade. For the door is unlocked, and the voice of God in your heart says, be free, be free.
And so, what I know right here and right now is that there is only one thing happening, and that is free spirit, life force, moving and living and breathing through everything. An energy and a source, an all-powerful thing that sings and sings through all creation, that is constantly recreating from itself in the new. So I know that whatever has come before this doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is in this now moment. And I know that I am manifesting that force within my life as my life right here and right now. And I know that for each and every person in this room and beyond, that we are all demonstrating the divine in every single moment of our lives. And I know that demonstrating that divine in our lives is unlimited. There is no boundaries to it. It is unlimited. We can be, have, and do whatever it is we desire and have that mental equivalent for. And I know that that mental equivalent comes easy and effortless to each of us. Easy and effortless as we embrace and embody this idea that we are that presence and that we are vibrating with that frequency of the divine in every moment, and that all good is coming through us, to us, that there is support everywhere. There is perfection everywhere. The perfect people are showing up. The perfect opportunities are already showing up. It's all here, and we're just walking right into it, through it, as it, in every single moment. So I know that good is at hand right here and right now, and that it is already actually done. And that each of us in our own unique way are demonstrating our lives exactly as we see and envision them. And I just take a breath in this moment to know that whatever's happening out there is also demonstrating in the most perfect way, and that good is at hand, and safety and love is infused in that experience and in each of our lives as we go from here. So I know that it is good, and I give thanks for the great teachers, Emmett Fox and others, those that are here now and those that are gone from this plane of action, knowing that these ideas and these philosophies and thoughts and science and physics, as Albert Einstein calls it, are all here on our behalf to assist us as we move through this journey called life, this spiritual evolution that we are each going through. So I know that and claim and announce and accept the good for each and every one of us, knowing that it is done already. As I give great thanks for this night, this divine appointment that we've had together, and for all that has been known here, I give thanks. And for all that is demonstrated, I give thanks. And so I just take this word that I am speaking right now, and all the words that have been spoken tonight as one word of good, and I release it, I let it go into law, knowing that it is done as we affirm together. And so it is. Thank you, everybody. It's really special. Thank you.